Okay, my name is Kevin Pratt, and I've decided just to read from A Course in Miracles because it's one of the books that have changed my life. I've been studying it for quite a few years now, and I studied with Dr. Kenneth Wapnick, the premier teacher of A Course in Miracles, and I just want to put it out there, for people who might be interested. And we're going to begin with the preface. All right, I'll be reading from the 3-volume set of Course in Miracles. All right, the preface was written in 1977. All right, as it says here, in response to many requests for a brief introduction to A Course in Miracles. The first 2 parts, how it came and what it is, Helen Schuckman wrote herself. The final part, what it says, was written by the process of inner dictation described in the preface. All right? How it came. A Course in Miracles began with the sudden decision of 2 people to join in a common goal. Their names were Helen Schuckman and William Thetford, professors of medical psychology at Columbia University's College of Physicians and Surgeons in New York City. It did not matter who they were, except that the story shows that with God all things are possible. They were anything but spiritual. Their relationship with each other was difficult and often strained, and they were concerned with personal and professional acceptance and status. In general, they had considerable investment in the values of the world. Their lives were hardly in accord with anything that the Course advocates. Helen, the one who received the material, describes herself as psychologist, educator, conservative in theory, and atheistic in belief. I was working in a prestigious and highly academic setting, and then something happened that triggered a chain of events I could never have predicted. The head of my department unexpectedly announced that he was tired of the angry and aggressive feelings our attitude reflected, and concluded that there must be another way. As if on cue, I agreed to help him find it. Apparently, this course is the other way. In other words, the head of the department wanted there had to be a better way to communicate instead of the bickering and backbiting and backstabbing and all the things that go on in most places in the world. All right? And so the preface continues. Although their intention was serious, they had great difficulty in starting out their joint venture. But they had given the Holy Spirit the little willingness that, as the Course itself was to emphasize again and again, is sufficient to enable him to use any situation for his purposes and provide it with his power. To continue Helen's first-person account, 3 startling months preceded the actual writing, during which time Bill suggested that I write down the highly symbolic dreams and descriptions of the strange images that were coming to me. Although I had grown more accustomed to the unexpected by that time, I was still very surprised when I wrote, "This is A Course in Miracles." That was my introduction to the voice. It made no sound, but it seemed to be giving me a kind of rapid inner dictation, which I took down in a shorthand notebook. The writing was never automatic. It could be interrupted at any time and later picked up again. It made me very uncomfortable, but it never seriously occurred to me to stop. It seemed to be a special assignment I had somehow, somewhere agreed to complete. It represented a truly collaborative venture between Bill and myself, and much of its significance, I am sure, lies in that. I would take down what the voice said and read it to him the next day, and he typed it from my dictation. I expected he had his special assignment too. Without his encouragement and support, I would never have been able to fulfill mine. The whole process took about 7 years. The text came first, then the workbook for students, and finally the manual for teachers. Only a few minor changes have been made. Chapter titles and subheadings have been inserted in the text, and some of the more personal references that occurred at the beginning have been omitted. Otherwise, the material is substantially unchanged. All right, and that's from Helen's personal comments. And the preface continues, the names of the collaborators in this recording of the course do not appear on the cover because the course can and should stand on its own. It is not intended to become the basis for another cult. Its only purpose is to provide a way in which some people will be able to find their own internal teacher. And I think that deserves some emphasis, that the course throughout its 3 books will always emphasize coming inside into what you'll see they call at sometimes the stately calm within, or the right mind, or the holy instant, right? To get into that place of spaciousness where thinking about the world drops away, right? And getting in touch with your own internal teacher. Right? And although we are studying the course will, in the next section, talk about the universal message, the universal curriculum, a universal experience. All right? These are all the things that any authentic spirituality, any authentic spiritual teacher will be talking about. Getting in touch with the inner. Right? Relinquishing attachment to the outer world, right? Or what we will call in the course the ego world, right? And getting in touch with the inner guide, so to speak, all right? That will help us to navigate through this ego world and eventually allow us to loosen our grip on the things that we hold on to here. What the Course will call the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is what we are, which is what is around us, which is the only thing that exists. Okay, so let's just continue to the next section, which will describe what it is. What is this Course? Right? As the title implies, the Course is arranged throughout as a teaching device. Right? It consists of 3 books, a text, a workbook for students, right? And a 92-page manual for teachers. Right? The text is the theoretical part of the course. The workbook has 365 lessons, one for each day, and Jesus tells us don't try to do more than one each day, all right? Because we do get enthusiastic and we think that's, if 1 is good, 10 must be better, And he says, no, don't do that. Don't do that. All right. And then there's the manual for teachers, which will answer some questions that naturally arise. All right. So the curriculum the course proposes is carefully conceived and is explained step by step at both the theoretical and practical levels. It emphasizes application rather than theory, experience rather than theology. It specifically states that a universal theology is impossible. All right, that's one of the disadvantages of using the earbud connected to the camera. Sorry. All right. So it specifically states that a universal theology is impossible, but a universal experience is not only possible, but it is necessary. All right. So everybody can't believe the same thing. All right. I mean, it's just that's the way the world is. Too many people, too many thought systems, religious systems, spiritual systems. All right. And even the most authentic of spiritual systems, all right, a universal theology is impossible, all right? You don't all follow the same steps and rituals and dogma and things, but a universal experience is not only possible, but necessary. So what you will see in your studies is that the great teachers, contemporary teachers and teachers from the past, they will be saying the same thing in different words. All right? They're talking about the experience. All right? The experience of the Buddha consciousness, the Christ consciousness. All right? The awakening, the expansive mind. The mind that goes beyond limitations, which includes the body, which is a limitation. All right, and the coming into the present moment, as a portal to that expansive quality of mind. All right, and once we have touched that, we want more, and it changes our perception of this ego world. That's what the miracle is helping us to do. Change our perception, our interpretation of what we are seeing. Okay? And to continue with this, although Christian in statement, right, the Course uses Christian terminology, and basically all masculine pronouns, okay, which you just have to realize where the filter through which this information came. We'll get to that. All right. Although Christian in statement, the Course deals with universal spiritual themes. It emphasizes that it is but one version of the universal curriculum. So it never claims to be the best or the only, all right? It's just one version of the universal curriculum, which is the truth is one, as the saying goes. The truth is one. Sages know it by many names, all right? This is one of the names of the universal truth, right? There are many others, and this one differing from them only in form, okay? So we'll talk a lot in the Course about form and content. Right? The form of the Course in Miracles is different than Buddhist writings or Vedic writings or Hindu writings. The form is different, but the message, the content is the same. It's the universal experience. It's the experience of the expansive mind, the connection with all that is. Okay? So, another. The text is largely theoretical and sets forth the concepts on which the Course's thought system is based. Its ideas contain the foundation for the workbook's lessons. Without the practical application the workbook provides, the text would remain largely a series of abstractions, which would hardly suffice to bring about the thought reversal at which the Course aims. All right, and once again, it's emphasizing application over theory. All right, and just think of it this way: if you could read a book or read instructions about how to ride a bicycle or roller skate, or read a book about how to cook, all right, or read a book about anything, all right, but that's just theoretical knowledge until you put on a pair of skates, or you get on the bicycle, all right, or you get all your cooking utensils in order and you start to cook something, all right. So it's the practical application of these high-minded ideas that are in the Course, okay. So I'm going to go down to the last paragraph in that section where it says, the Course makes no claims to finality, nor are the workbook lessons intended to bring the student's learning to completion. At the end, the reader is left in the hands of his or her own internal teacher, right, who will direct all subsequent learning as he sees fit. While the Course is comprehensive in scope, truth cannot be limited to any finite form, as is clearly recognized in the statement at the end of the workbook. All right? And here's the statement at the end of the workbook. This Course is a beginning, not an end. No more specific lessons are assigned, for there is no more need of them. Henceforth, hear but the voice for God. He will direct your efforts, telling you exactly what to do, how to direct your mind, and when to come to him in silence, asking for his sure direction and his certain word. All right? And that's from the workbook. So it just emphasizes this Course is not the end, it's the beginning. It's the beginning of your relationship with your inner teacher. All right? And your inner teacher, once you realize that you can withdraw from the unconscious chaos of the world, right? This ego world, once you withdraw from that, you can contact that part of your mind that remembers the expansiveness, that remembers who exactly or what exactly it is that you are, all right? And we can always look for this part of our mind for direction, all right? And with that, I think we'll end right here with the preface. The next lesson will have the final part of the preface, which is what it says. All right, and that section was dictated, so to speak. It came through Helen just as the rest of the Course did. All right, it was that internal voice, so to speak. All right, and this is a very powerful section, and I think it should have its own little video. Okay, so this is Kevin. If you want to contact me, you can email me at it's all lowercase, Kevin H.T. Pratt, P-R-A-T-T, Kevin H.T. Pratt at gmail.com. All right, and for further and deeper study of the Course, you can contact the Foundation for A Course in Miracles, which has just moved to Henderson, Nevada, I believe it is, and they're on the web at facim.org, all lowercase, facim.org, where you can get all the teachings of Dr. Kenneth Wapnick, right, who was a joy to know and just a blessing in my life, all right? And he would always tell me to stop taking things too seriously, all right? And so hopefully that's why we'll leave that little mistake in the recording here, all right? And we won't, and that is the thing, do not take it too seriously. Don't all of a sudden think, oh, I got it, and go out and proselytize, go out and hit people over the head with the course, all right? And, or hit yourself over the head with it, all right? Bring yourself into judgments and jump to conclusions, and we'll get to all that, all right? Just listen, let it flow over you, Dr. Wapnick would always say. Just let it come over you. Connect with the source from which the content of this course came. All right? Just as looking at a wonderful work of art or listening to beautifully composed music, all right, you get into the same space as the artist who created those things, who allowed those things to come through them, actually. All right, so once again, kevinhtpratt@gmail.com, or you can contact the course, the Foundation for A Course in Miracles, FACIM.org. All right then, thank you for being here, and talk to you soon. Bye.